is May 18th, 8:01 in the morning. Rise and shine. I'm Wesh 2 First Warning meteorologist Eric Burris. This is Coffee Talk. We get together 7 days a week, chat about what's going on in the world of weather. I got to tell you, it was hot yesterday. Kids were doing the pool. I would suspect many people are going to be doing the pool as well today because it's going to be hot yet again. Our heat stretch continues. Look at these temperatures. Hit 94 in Orlando yesterday, expecting 96 there today. And look at Monday and Tuesday, building even more heat for Central Florida. Yeesh McGeesh. So, top weather stories then, talking about that summer like heat, because remember, we're not in summer. Summer break for kids may be coming up, but it's not summer yet. But then do you see that? Do you see on the screen there? Does that say a weak cool front? Now, technically, there's no such thing as a cool front. There's only cold fronts, but this is not meteorological school here. This is just discussing and being together. So we can use off the cuff discussion points, right? So yeah, there's a weak cool front coming in. So we've got a couple of things to discuss. But before we get to anything, yes, it's not summer yet, just for fun. It's 33 days from summer. But let's talk about today's records for goodness sake, okay? Orlando, forecast high 96, record high 97. I don't suspect we'll get there. I'm hoping we don't get there. I'm really hoping we don't get there today. Probably will in a couple days, but I digress. So that's that. Okay. All right. So that's that. Then we look ahead to Sanford. 96 today. Your record 95 set back in 1990. We'll be close in Leesburg. Don't think we'll get there. We'll be close in Daytona Beach. Don't think we'll get there. Melbourne. Don't think we're going to be too close. Now, speaking of Daytona Beach, it is another day for the Welcome to Rockville, the largest music festival in the state of Florida. Y'all, it is another sizzler. 94 is our high temperature, 6 p.m. 91, 79 by 11 o'clock. So this graphic doesn't show the high, but it just kind of shows the kind of guys of the day. It's going to be a very, very hot day. So let me take you around. And first, let's just start off with temperatures this morning. And I've got them crawling on the bottom of the screen. Hold on, that's not. Looks like my 5-minute observation. It's never mind. It's just already that hot. Okay, it's already 77. It's 8:04 in the morning. It's already 77 degrees. Are you flipping kidding me? Taylor says people have been dropping like flies at Rockville. See, I don't like to hear that. I mean, it's not surprising given the heat. I see. I thought the data was wrong. It's actually 77 in Orlando. Okay, cool. So then what was the low this morning? Hold on. Where's my almanac? ADI almanac. Today's lows. All right, this was the low temperature. Wow. It hit 74 degrees for a low this morning. Wow. Okay, got it. Point taken. Cool beans. All right, so 74 was the low. It's 77 now in Orlando, 75 degrees in Claremont, 71 degrees in Daytona Beach. Cool. Super happy for us. First warning live Doppler radar. Scanning, not seeing anything. No gook. Or I should say nothing but gook. And our tower cam network outside. I mean, Port Canaveral's looking stunning, right? So let's discuss our forecast today then, okay? Like yesterday, blasted hot. Even a little gusty at times, right? Winds running 10, 15 miles an hour. We'll gust up to 20 or so. It's a beautiful day. I mean, in terms of sunshine, you got a ton of it. Look at that temperature though. 92 by 1 p.m., 96 degrees, our 3 o'clock temperature. And even through 7 o'clock, we'll be hanging out around 93. Good gravy, right? So here's the actual high temperatures for the day. We'll look at feels like temperatures in just a couple minutes, but here's our actual high temperatures. hitting 96 in Orlando, hitting 95 in Leesburg, hitting 94 degrees in Ocala, and even at the beaches, 94 New Smyrna Beach, 93 degrees in Palm Coast. Crystal says at least there's a breeze. Oh, yeah. Because without that, negative. Ghost Rider, the pattern is full. Pilot friends, check that density altitude this afternoon. All right, so that's where we are this afternoon in terms of actual air temperatures. Let's look at the feels like. All right. Okay. By lunchtime, feels like 92 in Orlando, feels like 93 in the Villages, 95. Ugh. There's 3 p.m. Okay, feels like 99 in Orlando, 100 in St. Cloud, 96 Daytona Beach. Oh, I went too far. See that? There is our peak feels like temp. Now, these are not air temperatures. These are feels like temperatures. Michael's asking, why is it hottest in the late afternoon and early evening as though the sun is going down? I think it should be hottest midday. Remember, everything is a gradual process. So, like, why is the peak feels like temperature at 5? Because we've got peak heating at noon, but the ground is still heating up. The air is still heating up. So, 5 p.m. is like that nexus of it's no longer heating and it's going to start to set. It's always darkest before the dawn, right? It's that kind of a mentality. So 5, there's our peak heating for the day. There's our peak feels like temperatures for the day. 100 in Orlando, 99 in Winter Haven. Stress and allergies causing my voice to just die on me. Love that, by the way. So much fun. Yeah. So does that make sense? That's why that's the peak heating point for the day, right? Larry, Patrick, Space Force Base. Good morning, sir. Good morning over on the coast where your feels like temperature today will be about 95, 96. Super fun. Amy over on YouTube says, thank you for explaining it. Hey, that's my job. That's what we do. Kelly on Facebook says, sweating looking at this temperature. Yeah. So that's today. Should we look at tomorrow where it's going to be even worse? Let me remind you. Well, I guess I haven't shown the 7 day. We'll come back to those feels like temperatures in a minute. First, let's dial up the 7 day forecast, okay? Today's air temperature, 96. Tomorrow's air temperature, 97. Tuesday's air temperature, 97. And then finally, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, a few showers, dropping the temperatures. We'll talk about that shift down a little bit for late week in a couple minutes. But I wanted to draw your attention to the fact that tomorrow and Tuesday actually offer even higher feels like temperatures. So back to Futurecast we go and do. Let's look at tomorrow. There's lunchtime tomorrow. Monday. This is Monday. These are feels like temperatures, not air temperatures. There's 2 p.m. tomorrow. There you go. 99, 100, 102, right? Let's go. Let's look at Tuesday. There's Tuesday's feels like temperatures. Okay. So, yeah, it's going to be blasted hot. Okay. So, there's our inland 7 day forecast. For my friends that live along the coast, it's not going to be 96, 97, but it's not going to be much cooler. It's going to be 94, 95, right? Yeah. Stacy Is it interesting that during this heat wave, I've had a lot of yard work to get done, lots of water breaks, but loving the sunshine. The sunshine's beautiful. You've got to take those water breaks. You've got to take those water breaks. And yes, this we're not in summer doesn't start until June 20th, so we're not there yet. Kimberly says it's only May, right? That's August weather. Yeah, we're not to the summer solstice yet. No. So today, what you doing? You gonna go to the beach? Water temperature mid to upper 70s. Surf breaking 1 to 2. Feels hot, but it's a nice day to go to the beach, right? What about the pool? You want to do the pool? It is a great day to go to the pool. Near record heat. Yeah, we've discussed that. All of that fun stuff. Yeah. And the electrolytes, people, as Beverly says. Indeed. Yeah. Now, we're talking a little bit about, you guys are talking a little bit about like Taylor. Excuse me. Taylor, for example, is discussing if you're out for an extended period of time in this heat, you need something with electrolytes. Water will only dilute your system and you won't have the sodium in your system you need, and you're going to drop. Be careful. And to that point, too, may I just add, um, people, how do I say this nicely? When I'm at Epcot, and you have to understand, like, I don't really drink much, okay? When I'm at Epcot, I see people slamming back the beers. I see people, drinking the heart, having adult beverages. On days like this, it's not exactly the best to do that because alcohol dehydrates. And we really are in a battle to keep hydrated. So, one thing that the National Weather Service did, Oliver says water is the first ingredient in coffee. Just drink more, right? Coffee is a diuretic. Coffee dehydrates you. So, as much as like I'm drinking my protein shake, I've got my cup of coffee. I've not had a sip of it yet, but I've got my cup of coffee here. I will have to double my efforts of water because I have my coffee. Anyway, so if you're going to have, coffee, which I am, if you're going to have an adult beverage, which you may just double your efforts on keeping hydrated. Now, one thing that the National Weather Service did a couple of years ago is they came out with this idea of what's called a heat risk. Okay? Heat risk is a measuring tool. Okay? So let's just get into the definitions, okay, of heat risk. So, yellow, minor, that's not a big deal. Let's go back to the map real fast and see where we are for today. Orange, we are under a moderate heat risk today. Okay. Moderate essentially means that it impacts some people who are exerting energy. So if you're running, if you're jogging, that sort of thing. Okay. Charles says it's coffee talk, Eric. We're 14 minutes in and you haven't had a sip of your coffee. I know. Well, truth be told, though, my protein shake does have 100 milligrams of caffeine in it. So it's like a cup of coffee. But bariatric requires the protein before the coffee. So, anyway. All right. So, we're running under a moderate heat risk today, meaning if you're exerting energy, then there's that. Okay. Let's look at the heat risk, though, for tomorrow. All right. Now we're starting to see the map have some different colorings. We're starting to see some reds in the metro. All right. That's tomorrow. Where are we? Day 3. Tuesday, starting to see some reds, right? So now we're running from a moderate heat risk today to a major heat risk for Monday and Tuesday, meaning that it will impact anyone without effective cooling, which means just that subtle shift of temperatures from 96 to 97 changes it enough that if you're not properly hydrated, you're really going to have some issues. All right. So this is genuinely, Kara's asking why the red in the metro and not the other areas. Cement, latent heat release, to me, if red shows up in our area, it's enough that we need to just go ahead and plant, This is not one of those situations where it's like, I don't live there, so I don't really have to worry about the heat. Like, you know, here's our Monday forecast high temperature map. All right. Like, okay, so you're in St. Cloud and you're not in there, but it's still 97, right? Like, yeah, the East Coast should help a little bit, right? With that sea breeze pushing in, it'll drop your temperature. Tomorrow, 92 in New Smyrna Beach, 92 Daytona Beach. But it's 97 almost everywhere inland, right? And depending on that West Coast sea breeze, like Ocala may not be at 95. It may be a little higher. So there's that, right? Does that make sense? So Kara on YouTube, though, great question regarding why red only in the metro versus the other spots. Yeah, it's I wouldn't read into that. It's kind of like when you look at Futurecast, it's like you know, there's today, here's tomorrow. Yeah, it's like Futurecast. You don't necessarily like split hairs. You just get the idea we're starting to cross into that major territory, if that makes sense. All right? If that makes sense. There was another question that I was going to read. Sonia on YouTube says, I've had heat stroke before. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. It's terrible and messes with your body so bad. That's why it's serious, right? Like, there's always those people that are like, the weatherman's hopping. Taylor said she knows people out at Rockville and knows people dropping like flies. Like, that's life or death stuff. Doesn't have to be a tornado for the weather to kill us. And that's not me being hypey. That's just me being honest. Like, we have to, if you're going to be outside in this kind of heat, you got to take it easy. And my worry is people that are out are like, welcome to, it's such an awkward name, welcome to Rockville. But it's like my worry for people that are out at Rockville. It's just like we're having a good time. We're having some beer. And then before you know it, kablowy, you're on the floor going to the hospital with IVs. You know, that's a worry. I think anybody can be outside, almost anybody, in this kind of weather. We have to prepare. And because it's the first like heat wave of the year, maybe there's some subtle additional concern, right? Control Alt Elite. Love that name on Twitter. FYI, for all the tourists going to the parks, soda isn't a replacement for water. Hydrate properly. Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know how many tourists are watching Coffee Talk, but, I'll take it. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a beautiful day. Here's Epcot, right? Some high, thin cloudiness. It's just those temperatures. Blasted hot temperatures, right? See here. Frank, I'm not reading that comment. Kara's asking, what is Rockville? It's Florida's largest music festival. Or is it Florida's largest? I think it's Florida's largest. I think that's what I heard on the news yesterday. How to spell Kablowie. I think you did okay. Wonder how busy Brian has been. Brian Tittle's been. Yeah, right. Good question over that. But I mean, I don't know if that's I don't know if this event played. I mean, Brian's still doing his tours, I guess, right? Frank, I'm just trying to help. Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah, so Sonia says Lincoln Park, Green Day, Corn, Shinedown, and so many more. I gotta be honest, I would love to be out there. Like Lincoln Park, like those are some of my bands. Oliver says people that say that this is hype have never been a heat casualty. Well, right. I mean, that's true. Steph says, I know people like to drink Gatorade Zero to not have all the sugars, but if you're needing rehydrated, like the full flavored Gatorade is your best option. Interesting. Sarah on Twitter says, yikes, my kids have field day tomorrow at school in Winter Haven, sending them with some electrolyte water. Oh my goodness, absolutely so. Absolutely so. Millennial bands, this show is made for us. It's true. I love all those bands so much. Debbie says, no, Brian Tittle is running the aid transfer. Oh, is he? Okay, okay, okay. Got it, got it, got it. It it is be nice to Frank Day. Well, his comments, there's certain comments of his I can't read. Today he happened to throw them out there. Patty says played tennis one 4th of July competitively and ended up in the hospital with double what? And it's Patty. I don't know what you were going with there, but yeah. Darren's asking any signs the rainy season is going to kick in. Well, just looking at the 7-day forecast, we've got a sea of high pressure. But let's do this. Let's take a couple of seconds and let's take a deeper dive. Let's look at some models. First, the model data. So we see that we stay upper 90s through Tuesday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, things start to come down a little bit. That's because there's a cold front in the forecast. It may not be significant, but there's a cold front. Here's the GFS readings, okay? And it's kind of showing a subtle adjustment to temperatures like 93, 90, like 91 by Sunday. So it's really not going with it's breaking the heat bubble, but it's not dropping off. Ignore that on the far right, June 3rd. That last day just did not get initialized fully. That's why it shows a high of 75. So ignore that. It just went through to some point of the day. Okay. But you can see, I mean, at least the GFS is showing a clear shot of the 90s. Okay. So there's that. All right. So to that point, there, whether or not there's a cold front trying to come, it's not like it's going to make a major change. Now, let's talk a little bit about this front. So meteorologically, this is a sloppy graphic, first off, but I digress. Meteorologically, high pressure over the Bahamas. This is Wednesday, okay? This is May 21st. Meteorologically, high pressure starts to pull out and it will finally allow that front to sneak in Thursday, bringing a few showers. Now, the front should clear the area, and look at the wind turn. That wind turn is enough to break the heat bubble. Thank God, right? That also means we are not in the rainy season yet. I mean, you could look at the 7-day forecast and know we're not in the rainy season yet, but there is that weak front. Now a little slower, right? Now looking like it wants to go more Thursday, Friday. So to that point, it's backed up a little bit and maybe it ends up dying over top of us. That's usually what happens. The last front, you think it's going to clear it, and then each model run kind of backs it off. It ends up dying over us. Moisture gets left. Rainy season kicks in. Cats and dogs living together. Mass hysteria. That's kind of the idea. Patty says double IV's headache and messed up heart rhythm. Holy crow. That's scary, Patty. That's scary. Wow. Boy, Frank, you are feisty today. Feisty, feisty, feisty. Look at you. Oh, geez, Andrew. I'm sorry to hear that. So that's the front. That's our next front. Frankly, we'll need to be watching model runs just to see if the dang thing wants to clear us. So let's do that, shall we? This is the American GFS model. And of course, now that we're getting more and more into hurricane season, we're not there yet, but the tropical weather outlooks are out. So let's just track together, okay? But first off, little piece of energy north of St. Croix in the Virgin Islands. I know I am, Frank. Nothing significant. All right. There's Wednesday. There's that front storm system up in North Carolina. You can see the green shades. Nasty weather for them. Chris says Frank's going to get himself blocked by his brother. All right. So that's Wednesday, Thursday. You can see the front there. Friday, the axis really crosses. All right. Looks like it probably clears us. High pressure builds in afterward, gets hot again afterward. Kelly says separate corners for both you brothers until we set up the cage for the cage match. Then I'll go. I feel like my older brother, what are you, 60 now, Frank? I feel like my older brother would beat the snot out of me. Look at that high. Y'all, the end of May is going to get blasted hot again, which makes sense. That's May 26th. Look at the same model, but on the temperatures. Look at that May 26th, May 20. It's building back to 97 again. Jesus. Sid, good morning. Awesome. Awesome sauce. Some more heat the end of May. Look at that. What are you doing, Caribbean? Y'all. Is the GFS making GFS things? Oh, GFS. It's nothing strong, but the GFS is doing GFS things, trying to throw up a CAGLO. Love that. Let's go back one model run. Did it do it yesterday? Oh, yeah, it did. That was the 0Z. Let's go to the 18Z. Yep. Let's go to the 12Z ish. Okay. So, GFS doing GFS things. All right, let's move over. Let's look at the European model. Wednesday, Thursday. There's the front. Axis does move through. Then we'll go further. 6Z only goes out to 144 hours, so I have to switch over to the 0Z to go out the full 360. Euro's trying to throw a little front through the 29th as well. Wouldn't mind that. But you know what the Euro is not showing? A GS a GFS cane. Tim's asking, can we bring Frank on real quick? On camera? I don't know that I would trust him to keep it clean on camera today. All right, since the GFS is trying to do GFSy things, let's look at the Euro. Let's just do a full tropical analysis, shall we? This is the European AIFS, or the AI deterministic model, the Euro AI. There's that first front, high pressure building in. It's doing its own thing, firing up an area of low pressure around June 1st, 2nd near Louisiana. So that's fun. Okay. Betty, happy birthday to your husband. Happy birthday, happy birthday. So the Euro AI is doing something. 0Z, it's not doing anything. So again, consistency breeds confidence, not seeing anything crazy there. So I'm not worried. Maria says, no, stop. GFS needs to calm down. I have a vacation the first week of June. Yeah, you and me both. Yeah, this is where you take the squirt bottle. Stop, GFS. I'm not worried. I'm not worried. And if I'm not worried, you shouldn't be worried. And at the end of the day, when we take our glance at the tropics, it's all out of love. It's so lost without blobs. I don't really know where else to take that, but you get the idea. No development expected over the next 7 days. Right? Looks like they want to welcome hurricane season right on June 1st. I wouldn't suspect that. As a matter of fact, where is the here it is. The overall pattern, June 6th could be some area to watch in the Gulf, but you know, yeah. No Taylor, no Taylor, no. The GFS is just reminding us it has a vorticity bias, so we have to remember and trust experience and trust overall knowledge. Because I'll bet you anything, somebody's going to post on the social media, hurricane forming, GFS, No. No. When do you start, or when do you think we'll start to see our summer Florida afternoon storms? What you end up with is you end up with a front diving through, dying over top of us. Winds don't really turn around. Moisture deposited, and then it just kind of goes from there. So, you know, rainy season typically starts um, on May 27th. So, what I would look for is a cold front and the cold front that we're tracking right now. So here's a good example. So the cold front that we're tracking right now, Wednesday into Thursday, high pressure moves out. Earlier, that front was supposed to move through Thursday and then Friday adjust. Now it's like Thursday into Friday, so it's slowing down. So what you end up looking for are these fronts that are supposed to do their thing, but don't. So we have to watch to see if that cold front makes it. If it doesn't make it, if it ends up getting over us and dying, then you start to watch because it will leave that deposit of moisture. That's going to help to start up the storms, and that's going to help to keep our dew points up high. Does that make sense? So, we're kind of at a watch, wait, and see phase of the transition, if you will, right? Victoria, what did I miss? Holy crap. We've been talking for 30 minutes and 56 seconds, Mark. So, yeah, a lot. So, we'll have to wait and see, right? And the telltale answer is like yesterday's 7-day forecast showed Thursday, if I recall, with a high of 91, not 93. So we've been shifting that front a little later. It's showing weak, right? It's kind of like me in a bar fight. Like, you're not going to be intimidated by me. Like, I'm not going to scare you, right? All right. Questions, comments, how cold can we expect? We're going to go from 97 tomorrow to 89 on Friday as of latest guidance. Not going to be massive. Victoria. Okay, recap. Hit that back rewind button. Yeah. At this point, we call them a low and not a. Yeah, I mean, Tammy, definition, boundary lines, etc. But yes, point being. A bar. Well, I'm the king of analogies, good, bad, or indifferent. All right. Questions, comments, concerns. How we doing? Summer heat, y'all. Summer heat. And I've switched to full octane. I've got the coffee now. Ah, that is good. You too, David. Nice reference, Kelly. Thank you. Nice reference. Thank you. What's cold for the cold front? 89. Yup. That's right. Yeah, Terry, I wouldn't intimidate anybody. Like, yeah, I wouldn't intimidate anybody. But here we are. A 68. Yeah, don't hold your breath on that one, Victoria. GFS is trying to say 66. We'll see. We'll see. No promises. I'm going to be indoors for a while, Serge. Oh, Chris, I hope all is well. Tony says, appreciate you doing coffee talk every single day. That's dedication. We really appreciate that. Thanks, buddy. Not I try for every day, but, we miss some days, but that's okay. We do the best. And I think, when it counts, we don't miss. When the weather's quiet, we miss every now and then. All right. Questions, comments, concerns? Thank you, Robin. I appreciate it. Questions, comments, concerns? I think we've covered just about everything. I think so. Victoria, you want the coastal 7-day? I got you. I agree with Tony. Well, thank you, Amy. I appreciate it. Yeah, not as hot for the coast, but still pretty hot. It's still gonna get you. That's that. He's still gonna get you. Pretty much. Tanya, can you talk for 30 more minutes? I don't know that my voice would sustain that. On a day like right now where my voice is a little strained, I don't know that I got it in the can. So there's that. Olga's asking, does that heat mean we'll be in the hundreds this summer? There's usually a couple of days every year that challenge it. Do we actually hit 100? Some years we do, some years we don't. But yeah, Taylor. Yep, yep. I what else could I throw in there, Taylor, right? Yeah. Let's circle back to the stress. Jesus, Chris. You don't miss anything, do you? I hope they offer plenty of free water and cooling stations. I mean, I hope that we did a news story. They have added shading tents among other things. So, but at the end of the day, we have to be responsible for ourselves too, right? We need to be able to know not to overdo the adult dehydrating beverages, among other things. Okay. Victoria received. Yeah. There's a lot you could throw in there, but exactly. Yeah. All right, people. That's all I got for you, okay? Enjoy the day. Take it easy out there for goodness sake. It's going to be blasted hot. Please. Thank you, Maria. Hey, little buddy. All right. That's all we got. Be the sunshine in someone else's day. Thank you for hanging out for coffee talk. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. Sound good? All right.